You're watching KSL Sports Live.
Thanks for watching KSL Sports Live, your home for football, and we have plenty of that. Tom Brady still has some magic left, plus a look back at Puka Nacua's magical catch in Boise.
Yeah, we're also going to look back on the Utes' domination of Arizona. What did we learn about freshman quarterback Nate Johnson in that game? Not to mention, we've got plenty of locals in the NFL on the way as well.
But we have to start with this, what should be considered the best story in the NBA so far. It's the Utah Jazz, right? They continue to impress. Most recently, a 14-point win in L.A. against the Lakers. And through the first 10 games, the Jazz have the second-best record in the Western Conference at 7-3.
Yeah, they've reached that point thanks to great shooting, second in the NBA in three-pointers, great passing, top 5 in assists, and tough defense. They're second in the NBA in steals going into this game. Only two teams have more wins than the Jazz, the Bucks and the Cavs. Jazz going for win number 8 against the Clippers. Jordan Clarkson had 20 against the Lakers 2 nights ago. He already hit half that number in the first quarter tonight. 2 early threes, and the Jazz have a 16-10 lead. Clarkson made the first shot of the quarter. He also made the last shot of the quarter. 10-point quarter for Clarkson. Game tied at 29 after one quarter. It's fun to watch some of these new young faces that the Jazz have on the roster as well, like rookie Walker Kessler. This play was in the first quarter. Ivica Zubac dunks right on the 7'1" Kessler. But you know what? In the second quarter, Kessler's not shying away from him. This time puts it right back in Zubac's face. His second block of the quarter. And one of the new faces on the Jazz was also filling up the net once again. The Jazz leading scorer this season is Lauri Markkanen. Gets the bucket and the foul for the 53-49 lead. Then another bucket to put the Jazz up 6. Final seconds of the half, Markkanen with the floater. He scored 11 of the Jazz 13 points in the final 3 minutes of that quarter. The Jazz led 63-56 at the half. Paul George had 24 points in the first half for the Clippers. He scored the first bucket of the second half for L.A. PG with the dunk cuts the Jazz lead to 5, but he was pretty quiet after that. Jazz playing out in front most of the quarter. Mike Conley lobs to Kessler for the dunk. Jazz up 4, but the lead didn't last. John Wall, he hadn't scored until the third quarter with less than 2 to play. Drives for the dunk, ties it at 81. Next time down the floor, Wall for 2 more. The Clippers' first lead since the first quarter. Wall scored 6 straight, 8 for the quarter. The Clippers led 85-84 going into the fourth. Let's just skip to the final 4+ minutes of this game. Jazz up by 2. Malik Beasley in the corner for 3. And how about the shimmy? Jazz up 101-96. Colin Sexton with a big night off the bench. Hangs, scoops, scores, and the foul. Jazz up 104-98. Just under a minute to go. Kelly Olynyk to Sexton for the dunk. A 108-102 Jazz lead at that point. Sexton with season-high 22, and the Jazz pick up their first consecutive wins against LA teams on the road since 1990.
The Jazz will host the Lakers Monday. Tonight they were hosting Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. Actually, earlier today. LeBron had 27 points, 7 rebounds. The Lakers played well in the first half. But then Donovan Mitchell gets hot. He continues to sizzle. 33 points. He's 4th in the NBA in scoring. Russell Westbrook playing well for the Lakers off the bench. Feeds Anthony Davis for 2 of his 19. But the Cavaliers would outscore the Lakers by 20 in the second half. Cleveland is off to an 8-1 start. The Lakers drop to 2-7.
The Memphis Grizzlies are winners in 7 of their first 10 games, facing the Wizards. Kyle Kuzma with the fadeaway 3 at the shot clock buzzer. Kuz at 12 points, 11 boards. Grizz guard Ja Morant has hang time for days. Floats to the rim for the finger roll. Look at that. My goodness, he's talented. In the fourth quarter, another pretty drive by Morant to the hoop. He finished with 23 points, 9 boards, 6 assists. Desmond Bane was the Grizzlies' leading scorer. He made 4 threes, had 28 points. Grizzlies get the win 103-97. A lot of shakeup in the AP Top 25 this week. After Saturday's win over Arizona, the Utes actually slide 1 spot to number 13 in the AP poll. USC and UCLA each up a spot to 8 and 9 respectively. Oregon moves up 2 to number 6. Of course, the Utes head to Oregon on November 19th for a showdown with the Ducks. But first, they'll host Stanford next Saturday at 8 p.m.
Everything we do starts with CQ in the exchange. Let's secure this thing, then let's go make a fucking play right after that. Let's go. Let's do it, Johnny. Tell me 1, 2, 3.
You know, what more could you have asked from a Utah roster that's been dealt its fair share of bumps and bruises and had to play in the wet, cold weather on Saturday night? They still produced a big 25-point win over Arizona. And where they were most dominant, how about that ground game on offense? Utah took 80 snaps on offense. 55 of those were run plays. 9 different players credited with at least 1 rushing attempt for a total of 306 yards rushing. 5 rushing touchdowns. Former quarterback Jaquin Jackson was the leader with 97 yards in the score. Jalen Glover averaged a team-high 8.6 yards per carry, 69 yards on 8 carries for him. Nate Johnson, Charlie Vincent, Jalen Dixon, they also had rushing touchdowns in this game.
The offensive line was doing a great job of blocking things up and getting reestablishing the line of scrimmage, getting knockoff on the line of scrimmage. You know, all the good things that happened in the running. I mean, the running backs ran hard, and they did some good things on their own, but nobody rushes for over 300 yards without the offensive line controlling the line of scrimmage.
And he's going to get in for a second touchdown. The Utes win big, and we got our first look at freshman quarterback Nate Johnson in the process. What did we learn about him? Stevenson Sylvester breaks down the Utes win coming up.
That is a dream come true. Those are the moments that we live for. I've been dreaming about that stuff since a little kid.
Puka Nacua had the game of his life on Saturday night. We'll hear from him on the Cougs' slump-busting win. Plus, the Game at Live highlight reel playoff edition is on the way. Don't go anywhere.
You are watching KSL Sports Live.
All right, there have been better days in Provo, I think you could say. BYU's 4-game losing streak, just the 5th such streak in the past 49 seasons.
The Cougars put an end to that streak, though, with just their 2nd ever win on the blue turf at Boise last night. The last matchup in what has become a rivalry during the Cougars' independence era.
Yeah, and they did so behind a career night from wide receiver Puka Nacua. 14 receptions, which is tied with Jay Miller, Phil Odell, and Reno Mahe for 3rd most in a game in BYU history. His 157 yards receiving is 2nd most in his career for a game, and his 3rd 100-yard game this season. His 2 touchdowns give him his 2nd multi-touchdown receiving game of his career. The last one, a game-winning toe tapper seen right there.
That is a dream come true. Those are the moments that we live for. I've been dreaming about that stuff since a little kid.
What an unbelievable catch by Puka Nacua. The game of his life.
I appreciate Coach A-Rod, Jaron, for trusting in me. It wasn't the best look to throw that go ball, but they threw it up to me, and that's my job to go out there and make plays, and I came down with it.
Do you agree with Kalani's assessment that Puka is one of the best players in college football?
100%. I've always known that. One of the best players in college football, hands down. He does it all. There's nothing he can't do.
The win in Boise doesn't erase the struggles of the past 4 weeks. It doesn't make any problems in the program disappear. And it doesn't change the perception of the season. But, man, it feels good for fans. It sure feels good in that locker room. There was a definite sense of relief from the Cougars after that win in what will be their last game in the rivalry for quite a while.
When we're going through that slump, I think we just reminded them that winning's hard and not to ever take it for granted.
And to come out with the win, that's the objective every weekend we come out here, and that was for sure one of the best football games I've ever been a part of, so that was fun.
For weeks, we didn't hear anything but negative talk, and so now there's going to be a lot of positive talk. We can't pay attention to that either. We got to keep the same mindset that got us here to this win tonight.
I mean, everyone's in there celebrating. It's good vibes. I mean, I feel like we're back to our old selves, so yeah, that's a huge win.
Everything we do starts with CQ in the exchange. Let's secure the exchange, and then let's go make a fucking play right after that. Let's go. Let's get it done. I'm going to be 1, 2, 3.
Utah kept pace in the Pac-12 title chase with a 45-20 win over the Arizona Wildcats. The wins continue to pile up for the Utes. Unfortunately, so are the injuries. 2 more running backs had to leave the win over Arizona due to injury, Jaquin Jackson and freshman Jalen Glover. Dalton Kincaid, of course, sat out against Arizona. Mekhi Bernard and Tavion Thomas still not 100%. And it was clear Cam Rising is compromised. With his mobility an issue, the Utes unleashed their freshman quarterback, Nate Johnson. Our first chance to see the 4-star quarterback recruit, and he was electric in the run game. He touched the ball just 3 times, but he rushed for 23 yards and 2 touchdowns, giving us all a glimpse of the future.
I mean, it was really fun. I mean, first carry, touchdown, second carry, touchdown. I mean, just being out there with the guys, being with the team, it was really exciting. It was really exciting.
Nate's got a ton of potential. He's got a very high ceiling. He also throws the ball very well. I mean, we see it at practice every day. You guys haven't seen that yet, but he has got a very high ceiling. That's what he has.
Despite all those injuries, the Utes still scored 45 points. A brilliant game plan by Andy Ludwig. And how about the defense? For the 5th time this season, they held an opponent under 170 yards rushing, 4 fumble recoveries, and the pass defense was outstanding. They held Arizona to just 231 yards passing. Now, that may not seem like that big of a deal until you learn that Arizona averages 340 passing yards per game.
That's a good offense right there. They had some really good receivers. I feel like the DBs especially played a great game. So, yeah, we were trying to get after that quarterback, and every time he threw it, I felt like for the most part the DBs were able to break it up.
Defense, I thought, played well for the entire night. Created takeaways. We're good on third down. I think they were 3 of 10 on third down, so good production by our defense there.
All right, Sly, before we break down some film, I want to get your thoughts on Nate Johnson, our first chance to see this freshman quarterback, this track star from SoCal. What'd you think of him?
Well, speed kills.
Yes.
Right? This guy, Nate Johnson, runs a sub-10-second 100-meter dash, right?
Wow,
and
that's Olympic speed. Yeah.
Right. I mean, on his play, on his first touchdown, you really didn't even see him fake the ball. It was just speed to the edge, and there was nobody who could catch him. And that's exactly what he brings to the table. But as Coach Wood said, this guy has a good arm, too. So once he starts throwing the ball, it's going to be really electric for this offense. But what I love the most is that how much pressure it puts on the opposing team. Yeah. Stanford and Oregon, they're like, dang, now we got a fast guy at quarterback we got to account for that can throw the ball. So it just puts a little bit of worry on our opponents coming ahead.
All right, so let's dive into that tape. Production on the ground was a big part of that win against Arizona. 55 carries for 300-plus yards, Sly?
Yeah, no question. And Coach Witt will say it all the time. If we can run the ball, we're going to be successful, and we'll probably win the game most of the time. But as we said, Jaquindon Jackson led the team in rushing, but there was over 9 ball carries in this game. But kudos to the O block, right? The offensive line was insane in this game. One-on-one blockings is called area blockings. Guy comes into my area, I cut him off. The D-line is slanting, but Salo Lamea here, he does a great job of cutting off the slanter. This guy goes outside, and Jaquindon Jackson, patience in the running game, finds the hole. And in exactly what we've said about Zach Moss and all of our other running backs, we get them one-on-one on the third level. It's exactly what you want. And then you got Jalen Glover here. Same thing, area blocking, mano-y-mano. Look at pushing his line. But what I really love about this is look where everybody is on this side of the line. This is the line of scrimmage. Everybody's over there. That's what it is. And then Jalen Glover, he's not the tallest guy, so he can hide behind the blockers. And there he went off for 23 yards rushing.
The O-line's on fire. You got all these great running backs, but a lot of them are nicked up right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully these guys can get healthy. Obviously, Stanford coming up. I'm not looking past that, but we all know what Oregon's about.
All right.
Those guys have got to be healthy for that game against Oregon. You know who else they need is Tavion Thomas. The win over Arizona also marked the return of Utah running back Tavion Thomas in his first action since the USC game. He carried the ball 8 times for 38 yards. And he also made a tackle on special teams, which made fans at Rice-Eccles Stadium go nuts. With the running back health situation looking a little dicey right now, they could really use Tavion to step up.
We think so, and we hope so. That's he's in a good situation right now, and so we hope we can continue to keep him integrated and contributing.
The Utah Stars had their season opener in Las Vegas against the G League Ignite, and look at Scoot Henderson here. Man, there's a reason why he's going to be a high draft pick. That dunk, maybe the Jazz will see him in a Jazz uniform someday. Late in the fourth quarter, Stars down by 1, and Paris Bass with the slam to take the 1-point lead. But the Ignite would have something to say about that. They score the bucket late to put them back up. Stars with 2 seconds left. They've got to get a miracle, and they get it. The end one there, Stars win the season opener 120 to 119. Well, who are these Utah Jazz we're watching? For the first time since 1990, the Jazz pick up consecutive road wins against the Lakers and Clippers, and now they have the second most wins in the NBA with 8 wins, through 11 games, and it was the young bull, Colin Sexton, energizing this team off the bench on Sunday night. He scored a season-high 22 points for the Jazz. 9 of those came in the final 4.5 minutes of the game. He made 6 of 13 shots, 2 of 5 from three-point range, and had a clutch assist to Lauri Markkanen late in the game to help seal the win. He says he's playing at this level thanks in part to the Jazz leader, Mike Conley.
Say Mike's teaching me a lot. He's showing me how to be dominant, but also just under control as well.
I know.
I was thinking about this game all day today, and just pretty much to see how happy I am to be back playing. It's a lot tougher when you're watching it from home and watching it from bedside. But I just honestly just say I'm just thankful to be back and thankful to be out here.
How about this Jazz? What a great story. Let's hope they keep this going. All right, up next, we're going to keep it going with this week's hometown hero.
And some crazy stats from a Utah Tech wide receiver. You won't believe it. Plus, more locals in the NFL. NFL highlights and the best moments from the high school football quarterfinals. It's the highlight reel, all coming up next.
On this day in 1999, BYU defeated San Diego State in the old Qualcomm Stadium, 30-7. Luke Staley was a freshman. He wasn't quite a freshman, caught a 20-yard pass from Kevin Federick, but it was the defense who owned the game. 5 sacks, including 3 from Rob Morris. And Hans Olsen returned a fumble, 24 yards for a score, carrying the football like a loaf of bread. If they gave out the Heisman Trophy in 1999, he would have won it. He would have been a unanimous selection.
Well done, Hans. All right, you know what? It's time now for KSL Sports Hometown Heroes, brought to you each week by Brent Brown Toyota. Each week, we highlight a former Utah high school athlete that's doing big things on the field or court at the collegiate level. And this week, tonight, we shine that light on Utah sophomore running back Charlie Vincent. Seeing action on offense for just the second game of his career, carrying the ball 7 times for 23 yards against the Wildcats, and he scored his first career touchdown on a 2-yard run in the 4th quarter. Of course, we want to flash it back, though, to those days when Vincent was a running machine for the East Leopards. He put up very impressive numbers there, rushing for 2,478 yards in his high school career. 240 carries. He had 29 rushing touchdowns, 35 total touchdowns, averaged 10.3 yards per carry. His junior season was outstanding. In 2017, carried the ball 110 times for 1,215 yards and 14 touchdowns.
Charlie Vincent was and still is fast. There was a rivalry game in Utah last night. The Utah Tech Trailblazers avenged a loss to Southern Utah earlier in the season, 48-36. Fans rushed the field to claim the old hammer. Utah Tech put up some crazy numbers in the process, 603 yards of total offense. Quarterback Victor Gabales passed for 63 yards and 5 touchdowns, but it was the stats of receiver Ricky Johnson that really stood out. 9 catches, 277 yards, 3 touchdowns. 277 receiving yards in a game is a new school record, and 3 touchdowns ties a school record. All right, if you have a chance to attend a high school football semifinal at Rice-Eccles Stadium this week, or a championship game 4A through 1A, even the 8-man game, do it. There's something special about high school football.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And we try to capture that as essence each and every weekend here on Game Night Live. It's our latest attempt now with the Game Night Live highlight reel.
Up next, the 6A and 5A state volleyball championships. Could the Lone Peak Knights continue their dynasty? And could Timpview get the 5A state championship? They're second in 3 years. The celebrations are coming up next. 6A state volleyball championship on Saturday. Number 1 ranked Lone Peak and the Mountain Ridge Sentinels took it 4 sets, but the Knights defend their title. Zoe Burgess led the way. Match point can't be returned. And Lone Peak has won 3 consecutive 6A state volleyball titles, 6 of the last 7, and 11 overall. That is a dynasty.
It was surreal. And I felt like it wasn't over until the ball dropped. And then just felt like I was overwhelmed with emotion, started crying.
The 5A state championship, region rivals Mountain View and Timpview. In the 4th set, down 2-1, Mountain View's Mia Lee ties the match at 24. But moments later, match point for Timpview, Mackenzie Bettis comes up with the block to clinch the state title for Timpview. The second time in 3 years, the Thunderbirds are the 5A state volleyball champs.
I feel so good. I feel so good. You didn't understand.
It feels just as good as the first one. The first one was during COVID, so I really wanted them to feel our seniors a real state championship with the lights going out and having all that environment.
Man, watching these kids win state championships is magical.
That's the best.
Hey, you know what? On Thursday and Friday, 11 a.m., 2:30 p.m., the 6A and 5A state semifinals. You can watch it on the KSL Sports app or KSLSports.com.